Welcome to this explainer. Imagine a culture whose language is basically a living map of 5 different empires. A culture whose drums literally tell stories of survival against absolutely impossible odds. Today, we're diving into the remarkable, global story of the Garifuna people. It's a community whose entire heritage is this incredibly enduring testament to strength, creativity, and sheer pride. So, let's just jump right into this fascinating journey, shall we?
Right off the bat, this brings us to a really profound mystery. How does a culture not just survive, but somehow flourish after being forcibly exiled from its own homeland? Well, to figure out how the Garifuna pulled off this near-impossible feat, we actually have to go all the way back to their genesis.
Section 1. The Crucible of History.
When you look at their cultural DNA, it's absolutely mind-blowing. The Garifuna are the direct descendants of African, indigenous Caribbean, and Arawak peoples. This whole incredible fusion originally sparked on the Caribbean island of St. Vincent. During the colonial period, Africans arriving in the Caribbean formed these deeply bonded communities with the indigenous folks who were already there. And over generations, they blended everything: languages, traditions, customs, the whole shebang. What came out of that was a completely distinct people with their own unique way of life. It's a powerful example of cultural adaptation happening entirely organically rather than just through conquest.
But, of course, this peaceful fusion soon faced a massive existential threat. By the late 18th century, intense conflicts with European colonial powers led to the Garifuna being forcibly removed from St. Vincent. In 1797, thousands were tragically relocated to the island of Roatan, that's off the coast of present-day Honduras. Now, from there, these incredibly resilient communities slowly spread along the Caribbean coasts of Belize, Guatemala, Honduras, and Nicaragua. Against overwhelming hardship, they rebuilt. And honestly, their ability to keep their identity completely intact across all those generations is one of the most remarkable parts of their entire history.
Section 2. The Living Language.
So the Garifuna language is, quite literally, a living, breathing map. It fuses 5 distinct linguistic influences together: Indigenous Caribbean, Arawakan, French, English, and Spanish. It's not just a way to chat, it's a historical record fused into one unique voice. Every single sentence spoken today acts as a reminder of the completely diverse paths their ancestors walked and the cultures they interacted with over centuries.
Think about your own family stories for a second. For the Garifuna, passing traditions down to the next generation relies heavily on these very specific words, because language carries stories, values, and memories. Speaking Garifuna isn't just communication, it remains a really profound act of defiance. It's a direct connection to the ancestors who fought so hard to keep the community alive.
Section 3. The Heartbeat of the Culture.
Now, traditional Garifuna music, it isn't just a sound, it is an entire ecosystem. Handcrafted drums, those rich call-and-response vocal harmonies, the rhythmic percussion, they don't just exist to entertain. They're actually a vital tool for telling history and forging community bonds. Drumming, singing, and energetic dancing are absolutely central to their daily life, accompanying everything from casual celebrations to highly sacred ceremonies.
And honestly, you just cannot talk about Garifuna music without talking about Punta. Punta is definitely the most internationally recognized Garifuna musical tradition. It's famous for these wildly lively rhythms, energetic drumming, and quick, expressive footwork that syncs up completely flawlessly with the beat. Traditionally, it's this explosive celebration of joy and cultural pride performed at social gatherings. Over time, it's even evolved into modern, globally recognized styles like Punta rock, perfectly bridging ancient roots with contemporary vibes. But while Punta brings that fiery energy, the Garifuna balance it out with Paranda. Accompanied by the soulful strum of an acoustic guitar, Paranda steps back from the fast footwork and really focuses on intimate, reflective storytelling. It dives into themes of family, love, and everyday life. A lot of people compare Paranda to global folk traditions, and it perfectly showcases the incredible emotional depth of Garifuna culture.
Section 4. Sustaining the Community.
A culture is so often anchored right around the dinner table, and Garifuna cuisine is no exception. It's this beautiful balance of earth and sea. You've got earth elements like cassava or yuca and plantains, paired perfectly with coastal elements like coconut, fresh fish, and tropical fruits. One of their most powerful traditions is the grueling, deeply cooperative process of making cassava bread. It involves grating the root, pressing out natural toxins, and baking it flat. This kind of shared, intense physical labor binds families together just as much as the actual food does. The true anchors of this vibrant community, though, that would absolutely be the elders. The Garifuna place a massive emphasis on family, respect, and collective support. The elders aren't just relatives. They are literal living libraries, the ultimate keepers of tradition. They share historical knowledge, they teach the youth, and they instill the exact cooperative survival values needed to navigate the modern world.
Section 5. A thriving global legacy.
In 2001, the Garifuna reached a truly monumental milestone. UNESCO didn't just recognize a physical place, they recognized the people themselves, officially declaring Garifuna language, dance, and music a masterpiece of the oral and intangible heritage of humanity. This was a massive win on the global stage. It highlighted how absolutely crucial it is to preserve these traditions, and it brought vital international awareness to a culture many people had never even heard of before. So this leads us to a pretty important question. What exactly can the Garifuna teach the rest of the world? When we trace their journey from St. Vincent through intense displacement to building these thriving modern communities, there are some pretty major universal takeaways for all of us.
The lessons are profound. You can lose your physical home, but your identity can totally survive. Culture is the ultimate glue that unites communities in a crisis. Music isn't just art, it's literally a vault for history. Diversity deeply enriches humanity, and ultimately, immense human resilience can overcome the darkest adversity. Today, modern Garifuna youth and artists are doing an incredible job balancing these ancient traditions with new global opportunities, ensuring the legacy flourishes far beyond Central America.
The single biggest takeaway from this explainer is simply this. Preserving cultural heritage isn't about protecting the past, it's about strengthening the future. The Garifuna aren't just a chapter in a history book. They are a living, breathing culture, and their ongoing contributions, rhythms, and resilience remind us of the extraordinary strength of the human spirit. As the Garifuna continue to adapt to our modern, globalized world, their drums keep on beating. And it really leaves us to wonder, in our own super fast-paced lives, what traditions are we actually fighting to preserve for the next generation? Something to think about for sure. Thanks for joining me on this explainer. Be sure to subscribe to Sphereblend for more deep dives into the world's most fascinating customs, stories, and traditions.